Hello, this is Jeff Neville for Selective Imagery, and this is before and after Hurricane Ian. And this is just to talk about what effect this hurricane had on Huntington Beach State Park in South Carolina. And obviously my prayers are out there for all of our neighbors in Florida who got it a million times worse than we did. I hope no one's had any family members that got injured or died from that event, and hopefully you get all the help you need to rebuild, and I wish you nothing but the best. Now, in terms of South Carolina, South and North Carolina basically started feeling the effects of this hurricane from around September 29th through October 1st, October 2nd time frame. And some of the stills I'm going to show you of the damage in the park is going to be from, basically pictures that I took on October 6th. So, roughly a week later after we got hit. And the initial video clips that you're going to see are going to be things that were taken in the park before the hurricane and in an area that is on the boardwalk area near the nature center in the park. And to explain this boardwalk, basically it goes out over a considerable distance into the marsh area. It has an overlook area, it has a few steps, platform with a roof on it where you can do some observation, but then you can continue walking past that on the boardwalk, and eventually you get to the end where you have basically just a wide, like a deck area where multiple people could stand and observe nature. And so just letting you know how it's laid out so that when I show you some of the pictures, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. But we'll start with some of the before videos, because these are going to represent things that I'm not going to be able to capture again in this area for many, many years to come. I mean, I don't expect that boardwalk to be able to get repaired for a long, long time. Things just don't happen fast when it comes to storm damage. And that's just the way it is. And so, sad to say, but some of these videos are going to be something I'm not going to be able to capture again in that same area for, who knows, could be 4 years from now before things get back to normal in that one location. So enjoy it while I have it, and then we'll start showing you stuff that the results of the hurricane after the fact. So here we are, very early in the morning. The sun is just starting to poke up near the tops of the trees and illuminate the water a little bit where these wood storks are. And this is when you first get on the boardwalk near the nature center. I mean, you've probably only have to walk about 5 or 6 feet and look to the right, and you're going to find these fellas hanging around. Now, normally they wouldn't be in here, but those of you who follow me, with the construction on the causeway, which is the main road coming into the park, a lot of these birds have moved and changed their locations to be farther away from the construction zone. So we would find them over here now. So here's just some video of the wood storks, and then that'll tie in with some IBIS that are a little bit farther up from where the wood storks are. And enjoy. You're going to see in a few seconds some fish jumping out of the water, and that'll be cool to see. And they're quite active, and for the most part the birds are just ignoring the fish. I mean, obviously they do eat fish, but they're not really going after them. Now, as we walk a little bit further down the boardwalk area, you see a juvenile Yellow Crowned Night Heron. Not doing anything overly exciting, just kind of sitting there looking around. And they like to sit on these railings. I mean, you don't see them by the dozens by any means, but sometimes you'll see 2 or 3 up here. And they're neat birds, and I've shot video before where I show you when they're eating the crabs, fiddler crabs, and which is very interesting to watch. But I like them. You don't see them a lot, but they're fun to watch. As we continue down the boardwalk and look to the left, the sandpiper is trying to take care of this worm. It takes a little longer than one would think. The semi-palmated plovers grab them and suck them down like they're slurping through a straw. But it takes the sandpiper a little bit longer to swallow that worm for whatever reason. Here we are a little further down on the left-hand side, and there's a young clapper rail taking a bath as I shoot through the grasses, and the AF system is working perfectly fine, keeping the bird in focus while it's taking a little dip. Cute little fella. Really, really nice. Now finally I get to the end of the boardwalk area where you have a fairly wide decking area, and if you look to the left you can see a kingfisher. And this is a male. It doesn't have the russet coloration in the chest, just has a bib that's the same slate blue color as the head and the wings. But it's just sitting around, you know, looking around. And I don't know how many times taking video, not necessarily of the same bird, but of the same species of bird from this location. And I'm like, please go down there and get a fish, will you? And it just doesn't seem to do it. Eventually, it just flies off. Now I look down below off the decking, and I see this bubbling in the water. At first I'm like, what in the heck is this? And I realize it's a blue crab. And it's just sitting there blowing bubbles. Strangest thing. Of course, the water's all muddy and dirty and hard to see anything, but you can tell it's a crab. But interesting behavior, to say the least. I tilt my head up and I see a tricolored heron trying to get a fish. Now I put this in slow motion, and you can see the futility with it trying to get a fish. It just is not working well for this poor bird. I mean, it keeps trying and trying and trying, and I'm thinking I'm going to be here an hour trying to get a picture of it getting a fish. But it's walking through the muck, that's for sure. Still looking and looking. You can see them, they're all swimming around him. Come on, come on, come on, do something, I'm saying. Finally, it gets one. Does it? Nope, missed it again. Just doesn't have any luck. Look how mucky that is, how it sinks right in the mud. Come on. Finally success, but then, oh no, it drops it and loses it. It's just gonna be that kind of day for this bird. It ain't going well. Well, I turn my head to the right and voila, spoonbill. One of everybody's favorite birds in the park. All by itself though, just kind of looking around. Oh, it's taken off. Oh, it's cool to catch them in flight. Now I look towards the other end of this decking area, and you see some juvenile boat-tail grackles. So they're not fully black yet with the purple tinge of color that you see when the light hits it just right. They're really cool to get a shot of when the light is perfect on them when they're adults. But these two are pretty cute, and they're just hanging out on the opposite end of this decking area and seemingly waiting for mom or dad to show up. And you were wondering where the spoonbill went? Well, he or she flew to the other side of the decking area in the water, and you can see it feeding, moving its head back and forth, getting food. And typically this is going to be shrimp. There is a lot of shrimp in this water. It can eat small fish, and I mean very, very small fish, like the ones that are like maybe 1 or 2 inches long. But you get anything that's like 5 or 6 inches long, they look very foolish trying to eat those fish. They just can't handle them. They're not built for that. They're built for just clamping down on a shrimp and then opening up their mouth and flipping it down their throat. So enjoy this little clip. Now for this last clip that represents before the hurricane, kingfisher sits on this sign, and there's several signs in this area that it likes to just perch on. And normally it would dive down and get a fish, bring it back, beat it up on the sign, break the bones, swallow it. Now here you can see it flew off unsuccessfully, tried to get a fish. It's flying around, looking like it's trying to get a fish again, and just kind of disappears and makes it to the other sign. Here we are after the hurricane. Boardwalk area boarded up so you can't walk on it, cord grass everywhere. In subsequent images you'll see some of the damage to this. Here you can see more of the damage. You can see how the boardwalk area is collapsed. A section of it is in the water to the right. The overlook area that has the roof on it, just past that, there's nothing left. It's disappeared. That would normally connect eventually to that decking area where I got filmed the kingfisher and a lot of other birds. So there's no way of getting out there now. It's just totally demolished, and who knows how long it's going to take to get fixed. Here you can see the decking area out in the distance. Nothing attached to it. To the left is that little silo that the kingfisher likes to sit on, and to the right of it you can just barely see that sign that it likes to sit on as well. So we make ourselves up to the North Beach, where on the other side of the parking area you have a tree line, and here is a beautiful tree with a reflection in water where there normally isn't water unless you have a very heavy storm. This is all ocean water left over from the hurricane. And from the picnic table in that same area, you can see debris that's on the top of it, left behind from when the water receded. Some more pictures of the tree with some reflections in the water. And eventually as I'm taking pictures just of this tree, we get a group of snowy egrets that decide to fly in, which add a nice element to the picture, I think, and was very happy about that. And one of them did actually get a fish, so I mean there are some fish that are stranded in there that got, you know, washed in with the waves during the hurricane. So I just took some, you know, shots, different, you know, different angles, and really had, and this was, I guess, a positive of something that was nice and enjoyable after all the damage that we had seen up to this point. To see something that was kind of put a smile on your face was kind of nice. And then IBIS joined the crowd as well. And then as the sun got higher, you could see the reflection of the trees that are above the birds, that are dead trees that are getting hit with the sunlight, and the reflections in the water. I really love that. And here's a more expansive view where you get see the light on the trees and reflections in the water. Unfortunately, this little glimpse of joy was short-lived, because as I turned to the left, this is the road that leads up to the parking lot, and you can see all the fencing that got destroyed along the length of this road from the storm. As we walk towards the North Beach, what should be a sidewalk, most of it is all covered with sand, although part of it was removed with a bulldozer. But a lot of the sand from the beach has washed up to the parking area. Here's a sign for sea turtles. Really dig these dunes, of which there really aren't any dunes left anymore. They all got wiped out. The grasses, the reeds, the dunes. There's little sections of dunes that are left, but for the most part they got wiped out. And this is all taking a right hand turn onto the beach. If you were to go to the left and walk about 1.5 miles, you would get to a jetty. All the dunes out there that have shorebirds that nest in the spring are completely wiped out. Nothing left at all. Here you just see debris, cement post that had a sign on it that's tipped over. You know, you could just see the erosion of the dunes, and that all the plant life, or a lot of it, has just been flattened out completely. Now, this was the first day the park was open since the storm, and of course the fishermen come out, at least this one guy did, setting up his poles. And this is just a view showing the patterns in the sand now. There is some things that look pretty, even through the rubble. And my friend Bob from Bob R Photos with me shooting, he found this snail, and it's in water right now. He put it in some water, but the water's so clear you can't see it. And so these are the two views, and you can see it has a lot of barnacles and other creatures that have attached itself to the shell. Even these sunglasses came back to pay a visit on the beach, and obviously they've been in the ocean for a while because they're covered with barnacles. Now, this particular view and a few pictures to follow, you would never have gotten this before. The dunes would have been very high. You're not allowed to walk on the dunes. And this is looking at Sandpiper Pond, which usually only has one access point on the opposite side of the pond with an overlook deck, which you see in this picture on the right hand side. You can see that decking. There used to be other viewing areas years ago, but I guess they got wiped out from a hurricane a long time ago, and those viewing areas were never rebuilt. So this is your view. This gentleman's walking out, and that mound of sand you see in front of him is as far as the bulldozer went in terms of clearing the sidewalk. And there you can see the sidewalk that you would take to walk out get back to the North Beach parking lot. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and comment. Videos after this will be few and far between until I figure out if I have any subject matter to take pictures of. It's going to be a rough period here for everybody because a lot of the coastal areas, anywhere where you had anything in the water where you can observe nature, has been damaged. It's just not good. But obviously, compared to Florida, this is basically nothing compared to what those folks went through. So you can only complain so much. They're the ones that have the real problems right now. So let's all keep them in our hearts and prayers and hope things work out for those people. So until next time, hey, enjoy life, capture some of it as best you can. Take care.